Hey friends, Mark 4:35 through 41 reads, As evening came, Jesus said to his disciples, Let's cross to the other side of the lake. So they took Jesus in the boat and started out, leaving the crowds behind. But soon a fierce storm came up. High waves were breaking into the boat, and it began to fill with water. Jesus was sleeping at the back of the boat with his head on a cushion. The disciples woke him up, shouting, Teacher, don't you care that we're going to drown? When Jesus woke up, he rebuked the wind and said to the waves, Silence, be still. Suddenly the wind stopped and there was a great calm. Then he asked them, Why are you afraid? Do you still have no faith? The disciples were absolutely terrified. Who is this man? They asked each other. Even the wind and waves obey him. Jesus had just spent the day teaching the people before he said, Let's cross to the other side of the lake. As they sailed, they encountered a fierce storm, and the disciples were very afraid. But what was Jesus doing? He was asleep. He was probably tired after a long day of teaching the people, but also he knew how to rest. He knew where he was going and what his purpose was, and he rested in that. But the disciples were afraid. So they woke Jesus up and questioned him. Don't you care that we're going to drown? Their words show their unbelief. Jesus said, Let's go to the other side. They said, We're going to drown. And Jesus' response to them after he calmed the storm gives us insight. He said, Why are you afraid? Do you still have no faith? Faith and fear can't coexist. The disciples were afraid, so they showed their lack of faith. If the disciples had taken Jesus at his word, let's cross over to the other side, would they have been afraid of the storm? If Jesus says we're crossing over, then nothing can stop that from happening. A storm can't stop what Jesus speaks. Instead of waking Jesus up and questioning if he cares, they could have spoken to the wind and waves. So when the storms of life come, will we focus on the problems, allowing fear to make us question God, wondering if he cares? Or will we look for the promises of God and stand on his word and speak truth over our circumstances? Will we be frantic and fearful? Or will we rest in the midst of the storm as Jesus did? The only way we can rest in a storm or a crisis is by fully believing in God's goodness and trusting him to be with us and see us through the storm. Let's trust in him, believe him at his word, and rest in his promises.